Welcome back, students. So in this video session we will be dealing with the Stern-Gerlach experiment. So before going to this Stern-Gerlach experiment, let us understand a small concept. So whenever we have a dipole, so it may be an electric dipole or a magnetic dipole. So when it is placed in a uniform magnetic field or electric field, if you are placing a magnetic dipole in a magnetic field, or if you are placing an electric dipole in a electric field, so this dipole will experience only torque. So this torque will tend to align the dipole along the direction of the applied field, that is, it may be magnetic field or it may be electric field. Now if you consider a dipole which is placed in a non-uniform magnetic field, that is, we are considering a dipole, it may be an electric dipole or it may be a magnetic dipole. So here we are placing the dipole in a non-uniform magnetic field, so that is, the magnetic field is not uniform. So therefore, as a result of this, so the dipole will experience torque. Along with this torque, there is some force acting on it. So this is the main background or the backbone of this particular experiment, that is Stern-Gerlach experiment. So what we are doing actually in this particular experiment is, see, we are taking a dipole, okay, so that is magnetic dipole. So magnetic dipole, so it is also known as an atomic dipole. That is, atomic magnet will act as a magnetic dipole. Why? Because see, if I consider an atom, okay, so at the center we have the nucleus, and around this nucleus we have the electrons which are revolving around this nucleus. As a result of this revolution of the electron around the nucleus, so this particular electron or this particular atom will behave as a dipole, that is magnetic dipole. Hence it is called as an atomic magnet. Why? Because when this constitutes current in the clockwise direction, so then this face of the coil will be acting as the south pole and the other face or the opposite face will be acting as the north pole. So therefore, so the electron which is revolving around the nucleus in an atom, or in general the atom, will be regarded as a magnetic dipole simply, or it is just called as an atomic magnet. So what is the basic principle of this Stern-Gerlach experiment is, so whenever you have any magnetic dipole or the atomic magnet which is placed in a non-uniform magnetic field, okay, now as we have discussed earlier, along with this the torque, so there is a force acting on it. Okay, remember that whenever there is a atomic magnet is placed in a non-uniform magnetic field, so the dipole will experience a additional force along with the torque. Of course, torque is nothing but rotational force, that is rotational effect of force. Along with this torque, so it will be having a translatory force, so which will make the dipole to move in a or to move away from its rectilinear path or away from its straight line path. So this is the principle of the experiment. Okay, so got it, students? That is, whenever we have an dipole, that is a magnetic dipole which is placed in a non-uniform magnetic field, so the dipole will experience a translatory force and it will get deviated from its rectilinear path, or it will get deviated from its straight path. Okay, now let us consider a magnetic field, okay, which is applied along the direction of x direction, that is the x axis. Okay, let at this particular point the strength of the magnetic field is B, and at this particular point the strength of the magnetic field will be B plus dB divided by dx. Okay, so this is the strength of the magnetic field at this particular point. So what is this dB by dx? So dB by dx will be known as the field gradient. Hope all of you know what is the meaning of gradient. That is, if any physical quantity changes with respect to distance, then that will be known as the gradient. So here what is changing? Here the magnetic field is changing with respect to the distance. So therefore this represents dB by dx will be representing the magnetic field, sorry, dB by dx will represent the field gradient. So the magnetic field at this particular point will be B plus dB by dx. Now let us consider a magnetic dipole. Okay, so that is an atomic magnet. Let us consider that CD will be the atomic magnet. Let us extend this at this particular point D. So where L is the length of the dipole. Okay, that is the magnetic dipole or the atomic magnet. Okay, at this particular point, this is one pole and this is the another pole, and this is the length, L is the length of the dipole. Okay, now at this particular point C, okay, so this dipole will experience a force which is equal to, or which can be written as P into B, where P is the pole strength and B is the strength of the magnetic field at this particular point where one of the dipole is being placed. And here we have another pole of the dipole, okay, where the force at this particular point will be P into B plus dB by dx. Okay, now here let us consider that this dipole is making an angle of theta along the direction of the magnetic field. Then the value of this particular length of the dipole along this x direction will be L into cos theta. Why? Because since the length of the dipole is making an angle of theta along the x direction, so therefore the value of this L, that is the length of the dipole along x direction, will be equal to L cos theta. So this factor has to be multiplied at this particular point. Okay, now since here we have two forces, one is PB and the other is P into B plus dB by dx into L cos theta. So this is the force at this particular dipole, that is one of the dipole, and this is the force at the another part of the dipole. Now what is the net force acting at this particular point is, it can be written as P into B plus P into dB by dx into L cos theta. Just I am taking this P inside the bracket and we are multiplying with this, and here also we will be having L cos theta. Okay, now this is the force at this particular point minus the force at this particular point, so that is PB. Now F is equal to, or you can do very simply, okay, instead of this we can write P into B plus dB by dx into L cos theta, okay, minus PB. Okay, if I multiply this P inside, so it will be P into B plus dB by dx into L cos theta minus PB. Okay, sorry, this L cos theta is only for this, okay, only for this dB by dx. So plus PB and minus PB gets cancelled, therefore the net force acting on the dipole will be dB by dx into P into L into cos theta. Okay, now let us calculate what is the net displacement that is been happening in terms of the dipole. Okay, so we know that there is a force acting on the dipole along with the torque. Okay, now we have calculated the force. Okay, in this equation I'll put mu s as P into L. So where therefore F is equal to dB by dx into mu s into cos theta. Okay, so now I'll consider this force, okay, which is acting along the x direction as Fx is equal to dB by dx into mu s into cos theta. Okay, now let us calculate what is the deviation that is being taken place by this atom or by this atomic magnet in the presence of the non-uniform magnetic field. So that can be calculated as follows. So now let us consider that v is the velocity with which velocity of the atomic magnet in the field, and let us consider that L is the length of the atom travelled in field, and let T be the time taken by the atom to travel a distance in the field. Okay, and we all know that we can write time is equal to length divided by velocity. So now we know that acceleration that is being produced on the acceleration on acceleration on the atomic magnet is given by, that is Ax is equal to Fx by m, okay, where m is the mass of the atom. Okay, and if I use, that is S is equal to ut plus half at square, okay, where S is the distance travelled, u is the initial velocity and a is the acceleration. So therefore, since the initial velocity u is equal to 0, so therefore the displacement S will be equal to half at square. Now I will take this displacement in the x direction as dx. This is equal to half into acceleration is given as, that is Fx by m into t square. Now dx will be equal to half Fx by m into time, means it is L by v the whole square. So why? Because here we have calculated the time as L divided by v. So therefore I'll substitute the value of t as L divided by v the whole square. Now dx is equal to half, I'll take it as 1 by 2, and we know the value of Fx, okay, as dB by dx into mu s into cos theta into L square divided by v square. So this is the value of Fx, okay. So and I have taken this 2m, I mean m onto this side, okay. So it is 1 by 2m. I have substituted the value of Fx. Now I can write the above equation as dx is equal to 1 divided by 2. So I can write dx is equal to 1 divided by 2 into dB by dx into mu divided by m into L square by v square, where I will take mu as mu s into cos theta. Okay, so therefore this is the expression for the deviation produced by the atom whenever it is placed in an external magnetic, that is non-homogeneous magnetic field. Okay, so this equation will represents, so what is the deviation that is being taken by the atomic magnet whenever it is placed in an external non-homogeneous or non-uniform magnetic field. Now let us look into the experimental part of it. So what is the experimental arrangement for in order to conduct the Stern-Gerlach experiment? So now let us look into the experimental arrangement of the Stern-Gerlach experiment. So the Stern-Gerlach experiment, the experimental arrangement will be consisting of an oven where the silver atoms, okay, so will be heated to a certain temperature in this oven O, and whenever the silver atoms, okay, which are coming out of this oven by using slits, okay, so slits S1 and S2, so we have a narrow beam of silver atoms which are coming out of this slits, where we have a linear beam, there is a narrow beam of silver atoms. So these atoms are made to pass through a non-homogeneous magnetic field. So this is the pole pieces of the bar magnet, so where we have the magnetic field as non-uniform at this particular point. Why? Because if you look at the shape of the bar magnet that we have cut, or if I look at the pole pieces of the bar magnet, here we can see that it is not uniform, it is of a knife edge shape. So therefore within this field what happens, so it produces a magnetic field which is of non-uniform magnetic field. Okay, so now whenever we have these non-homogeneous magnetic field, and if this atoms which are coming out of that is a narrow beam of atoms, which silver atoms which are coming out of the slits S1 and S2 are made to pass through this non-homogeneous magnetic field, and if they are made to incident on a photographic plate, okay, so what happens, so during the absence of the magnetic field, it produces just a particular illumination on the screen. Okay, so that is when the magnetic field is switched off, when there is no magnetic field, or when the magnetic field is absent, we have, there is all the atoms will be concentrated at exactly at the center of the photographic plate, so where we don't have any streamlit pattern. Okay, so there is, we just have a illumination on the photographic plate. Okay, now when the magnetic field is switched on, so what happens, when the magnetic field is switched on and when it comes, or when the silver atoms enters the non-uniform magnetic field, so those atoms which are having a spin or which are having a positive spin, so all those atoms will be produced or will be concentrated at the upper part of the screen, and those atoms which are having the that is opposite spin will be concentrated at the lower end of the photographic plate. So we shall have one more look on the experimental arrangement. So the experimental arrangement for the Stern-Gerlach experiment consists of the following parts. That is, it consists of an oven where the silver atoms are heated to a certain temperature, and the silver atoms which are coming out of this particular oven are made to pass through a narrow slits. There is one is S1 and the other is S2. So when the silver atoms come out of this particular slits, okay, so we have a collimated beam of silver atoms. So when these collimated silver atoms which are coming out of the slits S1 and S2, when they are made to pass it through, okay, a non-homogeneous magnetic field or non-uniform magnetic field, and the resulting pattern will be obtained on the photographic plate placed at a certain distance. Okay, when there is no magnetic field, that is when there is absence of the magnetic field and when there is no magnetic field is switched on, so all the atoms will be concentrating at one particular point. So that is, all the atoms will be concentrating at the midpoint of the photographic plate. So let us consider, and when there is a magnetic field switched on, okay, so these atoms or silver atoms which is coming out of this particular slits, okay, so will enter a non-uniform magnetic field. So as we have discussed in the principle of the Stern-Gerlach experiment, there is, whenever we have any atomic magnet placed in the non-uniform magnetic field, along with the torque, it will experience a force on it, so and it gets deviated from a straight line path. Okay, so as a result, what happens, all the atoms which are having a spin, okay, so parallel to the direction of the magnetic field, you will experience force in one direction, and those which are having the opposite direction of spins, then those particular atoms will be concentrated at the other point. Okay, so as a result, what happens, so there is a spreading up of the atoms, okay, onto the magnetic field. So this is what we call it as a Stern-Gerlach experimental arrangement. So by measuring the field gradient, that is dB by dx, and measuring the length that is being traveled in the non-homogeneous magnetic field, and by measuring the velocity, okay, of the atoms in the non-homogeneous magnetic field, and by measuring the acceleration, and by measuring the magnetic moment of those silver atoms, so we can calculate, so what is the deviation that is being produced, or what is the displacement in the x direction of the Stern-Gerlach experiment. Okay, so this is about the experimental arrangement and theory of the Stern-Gerlach experiment. And why, there is one important point to be remembered here, that is, why do we take only silver atoms? Why? Because the magnetic moment of silver atoms is exactly equal to Bohr magneton, so therefore we consider only the silver atoms. Okay, so thank you students, see you in the next video. Thank you.